The ground was literally splitting open beneath their feet. The smell of sulfur filled the air as they watched fountains of molten lava shoot hundreds of feet into the sky. What started as a routine hike in Iceland turned into a race against nature's most explosive force. Yeah, Kelly's crazy travel stories. Hey, fellow travelers, welcome back to Nerdgasmic Adventures. That wasn't a movie scene. That was the real experience of Michael and Rebecca Hawkins, a British couple who found themselves caught in the sudden Reykjanes Peninsula volcanic eruption in 2023. Today, I'm sharing their crazy travel story of survival, plus some essential travel updates you need to know if you're planning trips this year. First, let's watch this. Let's talk about some important travel updates you need to know. Great news for all of you going to Europe this year. And you thought you were going to have to fill out the ETIAS that I just reported about a couple days ago. You will not have to do that if you are traveling this year. It really will not come into effect, they say, because they pushed it back several times, until the end of 2026. And that's going to be kind of a subtle rollout, so it probably won't be until 2027. And we'll see. They've been saying this for years, and it still hasn't happened. So the European Union officials cited technical integration issues as the reason for the delay. And, yeah, whatever. Glad we don't have to do it yet. And in other current travel news, as of March 5th, 2025, Singapore has officially become the first country in Southeast Asia to implement a fully digital passport system. Singaporean citizens can now travel to over 20 countries using just their smartphone app instead of a physical passport. When they say over 20 countries, that seems kind of small. I still think I'd stick to the physical copy until it gets to more people. This groundbreaking system uses advanced biometric verification and blockchain technology to securely store. See, I'm bumping things. To securely store traveler information. Now, let's dive into the Hawkins' incredible story, the crazy travel story of survival in Iceland. Michael and Rebecca were experienced hikers who had been planning their dream trip to Iceland for years. They'd carefully researched the area, packed all the right gear, and even hired a local guide named John for their hike near the Fagradalsfjall. I never can quite say it right. I did a whole video on it because I've been there. On the Reykjanes Peninsula. But what they didn't count on was the volcano's unpredictable nature. So, here's a few things they said. We were about 2 hours into our hike when John's radio suddenly cracked to life, Rebecca recalled in an interview with National Geographic. His face went pale as he listened to the rapid Icelandic conversation. Then he turned to us and said 6 words they will never forget. We need to run. Now, the Icelandic Meteorological Office, we need that many syllables? Meteorological Office had detected a swarm of earthquakes indicating an imminent eruption directly in their hiking path. And if you don't know anything, there's been a series of eruptions in that area. So it's been really cool to watch, but I don't think it'd be really cool to get caught up in it and maybe the ground splitting in front of you. I don't know, this doesn't sound good. What happened next was a 3-hour nightmare of navigating treacherous terrain. And it is, trust me, I've walked it. If there's not a path, everything's treacherous. Rocks, pebbles, boulders everywhere, all over Iceland. So unless they've smashed it into next to dust, it is treacherous to walk out there on the volcanic terrain. So the group had to change their evacuation route twice when fissures opened up in front of them, blocking their original escape paths. The most terrifying moment, Michael says, was when we were crossing a narrow ridge and a vent opened up just 300 meters away. Now that's 900 feet. That's 3 football fields, a little bit more than. Shooting lava into the air. The heat was so intense we could feel it burning our faces even from that distance. Now that might seem like a long ways, but some of these rifts that open up and lava shoots out of them, they could shoot 1,000 feet into the air. So if they're shooting 1,000 feet into the air and you're only 900 feet away, there's a chance it's coming your way. You're in a lot of danger, and they were. Their guide, John, not their god, Jine. Their guide, John, made a critical decision to seek shelter in a natural rock formation, which protected them from falling ash and volcanic debris when the main eruption began. For 6 hours, the group huddled together as the earth roared around them. Their water supplies ran low, communication was spotty, and at one point, toxic gases forced them to use their emergency respirator. Yeah, and that is another thing, especially if you're in a low depression. There have been instances of thousands of people dying from toxic gas from a volcano when it erupts. So it's not the nice little gases like, the cows farting on the plane. No. Well, I hope they're not on a plane farting. I just meant the planes like Kansas. Yeah, not the airplane. I don't want to see a cow on a plane. And I definitely don't want it farting on the plane that I'm on. So it's bad combo. Anyway, but those gases, especially in low-lying areas, because the gases go to the lowest spot and then diffuse by oxygen and nitrogen, whatever. But you don't want to be in the area that it's pooling. And so you better move fast. Try to keep a little bit high up, unless you're right in the cloud of ashes and things like that. But you want to make sure you're not caught in the pool of gases. So, the Icelandic Coast Guard helicopter finally spotted them around 2 a.m., but couldn't land due to the volcanic activity. That means they were very close. The group had to hike another kilometer to reach a safe extraction point where they finally were airlifted to safety. Amazingly, despite their close encounter with one of nature's most powerful forces, the Hawkins and their guide escaped with only minor injuries and an incredible, crazy travel story. So Rebecca said, people asked if we regret going to Iceland. Not for a second. But we've gained a profound respect for the power of nature and the importance of proper preparation. And we're eternally grateful to John. His quick thinking literally saved our lives. And every bit of that is true. Preparation is everything. So, to wrap this up, the Hawkins story teaches us several crucial lessons that you need to think about. You need to learn. Let other people have the bad thing happen and you learn from it so you don't do it. Tell my kids that. They're all grown, but I told my kids that. So always research natural hazards in your destination. So if you are not familiar with what you're walking into, you're liable to walk into something dangerous that you might not be prepared for. 2, hire experienced local guides for potentially dangerous activities. Yeah, people who are experts in their area, that could save you a lot of headache. And then 3, pack emergency supplies even for safe excursions. And I tell my wife this, hey, you need more water. And she says no, but there's never too much water. I know it might be heavy, but you'll be thankful for it if you come into an emergency situation. And then have a communication plan if cell service fails. And I think that just means if you don't show up by a certain time, they're out looking for you in the location that you're at. Those people you trust. Don't just go wandering in the desert. If you're going to wander in the desert, make sure somebody knows exactly where you're going and when you plan on being back. Because if they don't hear from you, then they can send in the emergency vehicles that might save your life because you did it. And then 5, purchase comprehensive travel insurance that covers evacuation. And I almost didn't do it. I'm about to go on a cruise, and I almost didn't purchase it. And I had a cruise vlogger, whatever, that reminded me, if you're on a cruise and say something, you have an emergency happens, you have to be evacuated, you don't have that money, well, that's all going to be, you're going to have to pay that out of pocket. So it was 50 some bucks for me to purchase the insurance that would cover medical evacuation. So would I rather pay 50 bucks now? For most people, it's going to be more than that. But mine was a less expensive cruise, so I didn't have to pay as much. All right. So here's my call to action for you. Have you ever experienced a natural disaster while traveling? Share your story in the comments below. And remember, the ETIAS delay means you've got extra time to visit and explore Europe without additional paperwork. I'm thankful for it. And Singapore's digital passport innovation might be coming to your country soon. And I will only like that if it gets me to the same amount of countries my passport gets me to now. But I think it's a cool innovation, and hopefully that will prompt more innovation in the passport industry. Now, don't forget to subscribe for more real travel stories. You know, the crazy kind. Essential updates and tips from around the world. And this is Kelly with Nerdgasmic Adventures telling you to stay adventured. It's me, signing out.